What if I told you? The reason you feel behind isn't because you're not working hard enough. It's because you were trained to forget the rules that made ordinary families quietly wealthy for generations. Pause. Before social media, before flex culture, before side hustle became a personality, there was a different way to build wealth. Lower tone. And it worked. There was a time when wealth didn't feel loud. No endless updates reminding people that someone else was richer, faster, or more successful. Money moved quietly then. Almost invisibly. Not because people lacked ambition, but because ambition was controlled, not broadcast. Welcome to Forgotten Wealth Rules, where we revisit the habits that built real wealth long before social media turned success into a performance. Old money didn't chase attention. It avoided Italiano. Families believe that wealth should make life calmer, not noisier. If your money created stress, something was wrong. If it required constant explanation, something was broken. Back then, success wasn't measured by what you could show. It was measured by what you could withstand. Middle-class and wealthy families alike followed rules that now feel almost uncomfortable in a culture obsessed with speed. They lived below their means, not temporarily, not as a challenge, but permanently. Even when income increased, spending stayed restrained. Raises didn't automatically trigger upgrades. Bonuses weren't invitations to lifestyle inflation. This wasn't fear. It was margin. Margin meant room to breathe. Room to make decisions without panic. Room to survive bad years without collapsing. Below your means was the default. If income went up, spending didn't automatically follow. A raise didn't mean a bigger house. A bonus didn't demand a new car. Extra money was treated cautiously, almost suspiciously. Old money families asked a simple question before spending more. Will this make life easier or just louder? Most upgrades failed that test. They understood that comfort doesn't come from more things. It comes from fewer obligations. Social media teaches the opposite. It trains people to upgrade publicly, to celebrate spending, to confuse progress with visibility. Old money avoided that trap. They believed that if your lifestyle required constant income to maintain, then you weren't wealthy. You were fragile. So they built margin. Margin was everything. Margin meant savings that stayed untouched. Margin meant room for mistakes. Margin meant resilience when life changed. A medical emergency didn't destroy them. A job loss didn't erase decades of progress. An economic downturn didn't force panic, because margin absorbs shock. Old money families didn't stretch themselves thin. They refused to live at the edge of affordability. A smaller home with breathing room beat a larger home filled with anxiety. A paid-off car beat a luxury vehicle with payments attached. They knew freedom doesn't come from what you own. It comes from what you don't own. Debt was treated carefully, almost respectfully. Not all debt was evil, but most debt was unnecessary. Mortgages were tolerated because they created stability. They provided shelter, predictability. But lifestyle debt was avoided. Borrowing to impress others was seen as dangerous. Borrowing to satisfy emotion was seen as foolish. Old money families believed debt should solve a real problem, not create a new one. Social media flipped this thinking. Today, debt is normalized, encouraged, even celebrated. Buy now, pay later. Upgrade instantly. But old money saw the costs clearly. Every payment is a claim on your future. Every obligation reduces flexibility. Every loan limits options. They wanted options. They structured life to keep doors open. Another forgotten habit was patience. Old money moved slowly on purpose. They didn't rush investments. They didn't chase trends. They didn't panic during downturns. They believed consistency beat brilliance. Slow saving. Steady investing. Long-time money compounded quietly while others chased excitement. Social media glorifies urgency. Old money trusted time. They understood that most people don't lose money because they're only intelligent. They lose money because they're emotional. Fear, greed, envy. Old money insulated itself from these forces. They avoided comparison. Comparison was considered dangerous, not motivating.
Dangerous.
Because comparison leads to rushed decisions, unnecessary spending, risk taken for the wrong reasons. Old money families compared themselves only to their own past. Were expenses stable? Was savings growing? Was life becoming calmer? Those were the metrics. Children absorbed these lessons quietly. They watched parents delay purchases without stress. They learned that we can afford it didn't mean we will buy it. Money wasn't dramatic in these homes. It wasn't emotional. It wasn't discussed loudly. It was handled calmly. That calm was powerful. It taught children restraint before temptation, planning before impulse, patience before reward. Social media teaches the opposite from childhood. Consume now, display now, upgrade now. Old money believed now was overrated. They planned in decades. They asked how decisions would feel 10 years later, not how they would look today. Another habit that disappeared was privacy. Old money valued privacy deeply, not secrecy. Privacy. They didn't announce financial wins. They didn't broadcast purchases. They didn't share goals before they were achieved, because progress is fragile when exposed too early. Social media rewards exposure. Old money avoided it. They believed wealth grew best in silence. No pressure to perform. No need for validation. No risk of envy or expectation. Money stayed focused on function, not image. Even generosity was quiet. Giving wasn't content. It wasn't branding. It wasn't leverage. It was done privately. Because old money believed money should serve values, not advertise them. Another forgotten rule was stability over excitement. Old money didn't chase the highest returns. They chased reliable outcomes. They preferred boring investments that worked over exciting ones that might. A predictable 6% was better than a risky 20%. Because predictability allowed planning. Planning created peace. Peace created longevity. Social media glorifies volatility. Old money respected durability. They didn't rebuild financial strategies every year. They didn't constantly pivot. They didn't reinvent themselves every season. They stayed the course, and over time, the consistency quietly separated them from everyone else. Unforgotten wealth rules. We talk about these habits because they never stopped working. They just stopped being popular. Living below your means. Protecting margin. Avoiding unnecessary debt. Valuing privacy. Thinking long-term. These rules don't create overnight success. They create unshakable stability, and stability compounds into wealth. If modern money culture feels exhausting, if constant comparison has made you anxious instead of confident, if chasing more has left you feeling behind, this is your reminder. Wealth doesn't need an audience, it needs discipline. It doesn't need speed. It needs patience. It doesn't need noise. It needs structure. Old money understood that, and the habits that built it were never destroyed, only forgotten.